Hello and thanks for joining the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. Today on the program, death toll in Benue killings hits 70 as governors propose grazing colonies. And later on the program, President Buhari orders background checks on judges. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, Lekon Shote, and Olayinka Oyebile. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for joining us. Now, recent killings in Benue State are fast turning into the food baskets of the nation to a basket of horror. The state is in a shambles. It has become arguably the worst hit in Nigeria by the terror of Fulani Herdsmen militias. On New Year's Day, armed herdsmen struck 6 communities in the state and hacked defenseless people to death. Initially, 50 people were reportedly killed in the coordinated attacks, but the figures are rising. The umbrella body cattle breeders in Nigeria say for peace to reign, the state must modify its anti-open grazing law. President Buhari has ordered the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, to relocate to the state, just as he met with the governor, that's Samuel Otom. Now, some governors are already proposing grazing colonies in their states. What is really going on? Jire, before we used to mention it as a news item and one of those killings, because Nigeria is now becoming, what you can call anything goes. Now it is becoming worrisome. Boko Haram is taking the backstage, and Fulani herdsmen, they're fast becoming, a national embarrassment and a big embarrassment.
National shame.
Shame and a big embarrassment to the governments of Muhammadu Buhari.
Yes, no doubt about it. If anyone loves the president, that person should tell the president to handle this matter decisively. Otherwise, his popularity will go down with it.
It's already going down.
It's already going down. There are a few people, we are not sycophants. We are first and foremost loyal to the truth. And our loyalty to the truth, you can vouch for his fidelity. So the president would expect that someone like me would tell him the truth. Because some of the people around the president got to know him recently. Where were they when some of us were visiting the president as early as 1994, 1993? Where were they?
A lonely man.
Yeah, so those of them who want to kill themselves, hitting their heads against the wall about the president, not telling the president the truth, where were they when some of us were going to Haliru Dantoro Street home of the president?
Kaduna?
Yes, when people were scared to go there.
Under surveillance.
We are going there. Bagada Kalto, Timothy Bonnet, my friend Henry Ugbolwe. We are going. He was a lonely man who would sit with him and talk and talk and talk. He will not want us to leave. That is the truth. I'm saying this because I know that the first family, they watch this program. The president's wife has called in on this program before. But the worst thing I can do to the president is to not tell him the truth. The moment I stop telling him the truth, I lose any regard he has for me. And what I'm saying today is that he has to handle this matter decisively. He must show wisdom in handling this matter. This is a big national embarrassment, extremely difficult to defend. How do you defend? The case of the Agatus, more than 5,000 people were killed. Yes, more than 5,000 people were killed. 3,196 of them died during the crisis. The remaining people died in the different IDPs. There's some of them in hospitals, when people are injured. That is how death toll rises. With our health system in shambles, when people get taken to the hospital.
Properly attended
1 or 2 days, they die. So that's why death toll usually rises. You will find that, okay, when it's reported that, oh, 25 persons died, by 2-3 days or 48 hours, you hear that more people have died. So that is the truth. The president must deal decisively with this matter. And this is not a matter to politicize. Herdsmen, a matter of herdsmen, cuts across our country. I'm hearing people saying, oh, David Mark and co, they are behind it. He had heads of cattle in Benue State. The herdsmen that are killing, they are working for David Mark. And I ask myself, why are we like this?
Honestly.
Who caused us as a people? That every time there's a problem, instead of looking for a solution, we want to invent lies. Is this how to solve the problem? Some are already say, oh, Obasanjo has cattle in the Mambila area. Yes. But the Obasanjo's cattle, about 300 of them, are in a ranch. They are not roaming freely. And those of us who are saying that it is possible, look at the comment of the secretary of Miyetti Allah. He said, the approach of the government is unacceptable. You cannot change the way of life of a people the way you turn off a light switch.
That's it.
The issue is, see, the young people who constitute Miyetti Allah today, they are educated. Go and ask them, do they go around with cattle? Many of them have cattle in their private ranches. Because the idea of taking cattle from Futajalon down to Nigeria is anachronistic. Even the president is cattle are in a ranch.
170 cows.
They are in a ranch. They are not roaming freely. The moment, you see, why we are supporting the idea of ranching, it's not just because it guarantees peace. It's because it imposes a responsibility on the owner of the cattle to provide it with food, to provide it with water. You can't be raising cattle just everywhere you like, and then you trample on people's farms, and you don't want their blood to boil. So it is, look, we don't want to learn from countries that have made progress. That is one problem that we have in our country. In America, 2 states, Kansas and Nebraska, they have more than 2 million heads of cattle.
2 million?
Yes, and they are all in ranches. So if more than 2 million heads of cattle are all in ranches, and in those places, we have the greater volume of rainfall. Northern Nigeria has greater volume of rainfall than those 2 states that I talked about in the US. Yet they are able to maintain ranches. So if a way of life is leading to constant conflict and constant deaths of people, what is wrong in trying to change it? Now governors, 16 governors are saying, oh, we want ranching colonies. It's just now that we are realizing that if we are not careful about this matter, it will cause real violent combustion in our country. It's now that we are beginning to think. So the president must be decisive. These guys, I've had the president say, go and get the killers, bring them to justice. I've had this several times. But how many times have we seen people actually brought to justice? He has to not just give the directive, he has to ensure that that directive of his, as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, is carried out to the letter. If the IGP does not find the killers, the president should move against him. That is what Nigerians want.
Just as the president asked them to fetch out those people that killed the people that went for night vigil in River State. And they went after that man and
they got him.
The same thing can happen to this killing machine roaming about our country and killing people mindlessly. The same thing, they can visit the same decisiveness, the same anger. The security agencies can visit the same anger, the same decisiveness on these guys.
Military worked and they got the guy.
Now, talking about the way of life that he spoke about, the Miyetti Allah secretary that is talking about you can't change a way of life of people by like switching up, he's talking about that. The ubiquitous Meshai that we all know from one lamp post to the other in the north, the way they sell their Messiah, for those who don't understand, is the Malam who sells tea. The way they sell their tea in those days, is this the same way they are selling it now? Now, because of the change in everything, they've started selling noodles. In those days, they only sell bread and tea. And because of the change of life, they introduced selling of noodles into it. So why will those who are doing ranching, who are rearing cattle, why will they not do ranching? Why would they be stagnant? It is total nonsense for anybody to say that the man that is talking this, is it with the same way that they were doing their rearing their cattle in those days, that they still rear it today? It is not total nonsense. When time change, people must change with time. I mean, it is no longer acceptable in any way. Okay, if all the cattle were allowed to roam all over the Federation and they kill all the food that we are going to eat, is it only on meat that we are going to survive? Are there no people in Nigeria who don't eat meat today? Yes. Are there no people who don't have anything to do with cows? Is it only cows that we are going to eat to survive? There are several ways to survive. In fact, science, as the researches have been carried out in such a way that cattle that are in ranches are fatter,
they are bigger, they produce more milk,
they are better. I mean, is it all these malnourished cows that we see all over the place that they are talking about?
Would have tricked.
Now, you want to sell your cow to us to eat. You don't want to invest in it. You don't want to do anything. The people, our parents, in those days, when they rear chicken, they allow them to move about all over the place. Is that done again now? People have chicken pen and all that, which they use. So why can't they do the same thing with their cattle?
Leko, this thing there is that when you follow the conversation in the social media, the popular question that everybody will ask now, that if a group called IPOB that did not carry arms, that they were not known to carry arms, and if they were proscribed and labeled terrorist organizations and crushed, and they were proscribed and it was gazetted officially. Right now, nobody can come to the street that I belong to IPOB.
No, you dare not.
You dare not. If the president can take that kind of decisive action, what is stopping Mr. President from taking that same action against this herdsmen that have killed?
It beats me. Let me say this, that as a little boy, I recall that there is a law, if your dog strays around, there are some people who will arrest the dog and take it to a pound. I like to believe that that law still exists. If you, by extension, somebody whose cattle goes onto somebody else's farm, I like to think that there must be a way, because your right to swing your hand ends where my nose begins. You understand? Now,
your nose doesn't start to bleed.
Exactly. Now, my question is this. Is Mr. President deliberately, because that's what I actually think, that he's deliberately being selective in the justice that he metes out? You deal decisively with IPOB. Indeed, you deal decisively with, you set up Lafia Dole against Boko Haram. Now, you now look at your kinsmen who are Fulani herdsmen. You now decide to be selective. I like to think, unlike what Jide says, that maybe this ought to be an election campaign issue for 2019, so that a party that tells us that
politicians know what they are doing.
We
don't even need to encourage anybody.
so that people can vote on it. I mean, the same way people say, okay, we'll get out of Brexit, or we'll let's have issues, issue-based election. That okay, the party or the candidate that promises us that he's going to end this menace is going to be our candidate. Maybe the president will not be serious. I have said this somewhere, I'm not sure whether it was on this platform, that the same way you have SARS for armed robbery, for ritual cleaning, kidnapping, maybe there's need for something else, another outfit of the police.
Or even the army.
Or the army, to handle this menace until we effectively dispose of it. Because you can't be getting people killed on a regular basis. And the president appeared, you remember his, I was just discussing before we came on set now, October 1 last year. He just dismissed the thing as if it's just, he mentioned farmers first. He says the farmers and, you know, they are just quarreling with it. As if it was not a big issue. And then I think Jide has said this sometime in 2016 on this platform, that they claim that, well, current governor of Kaduna State claimed that some of them came from outside the country. Yeah. Now, you now went to pay them. Isn't that true? Yeah. Mm-hmm. For somebody kill somebody, destroy somebody else's property, you now went to say you are paying him so that he does not come back. Is it because El-Rufai is a Fulani himself?
Are they not coming back?
It appears we have two rules in this country. The sacred cows actually go beyond the cows now. It appears there are some other people in Nigeria who are more equal than the other. And it appears to me that now that we have a Fulani president, the Fulanis are more equal than other Nigerians.
I absolutely disagree with that. I have friends who abhor the aberrant behavior of these herdsmen. And I also know that the people who come to kill, it is wrong to assume that they are all Fulanis. That's why I've been saying Fulani militia. Fulani militia because they can summon those killers. These are paid killers. Many of them are not Nigerians.
They are not Nigerians.
Some of them come all the way from Mauritania. To imagine that they are all, because sometimes even Fulani people are victims of attack from these people. So they are not just because, they pose as herdsmen. It doesn't mean that every herdsman or every cattle rearer is a Fulani. Yeah. If you are familiar with them, you will know that they are not all Fulani. So there are Fulanis in our country who abhor the behaviors of the people who are killing people. Look, you go to a place like Kano, you see Merua. The Merua now, they will sell water. Yeah. A lot of them are not even from Nigeria, but they all pose like Nigerians. They pose like a Fulani. Yeah. Now, the Merua enters your house. Your wife, you are not in. He makes efforts to sleep with your wife. If the wife does not cooperate, you may just come back and meet her corpse. Yeah. So people are really scared. People are worried about these people. You see, I've seen even Fulanis, even on Facebook. I've seen some of the stuff that they posted, complaining about what is happening. So if we are not careful, we just assume, it's because this person is this, because that person is this. What we have told the president is what is right for him to do. Because these guys are smearing the good name of our country. People will wonder, how come we are unable to deal with this situation? This president has shown that when it comes to matters like this, security, he's on top of his game. Even Obasanjo admitted that he knew from the beginning that Buhari would do well with fighting Boko Haram. You know, the first thing he did was to go and meet presidents of countries around us, trying to build a coalition so that we can defeat Boko Haram. Is that kind of decisiveness that I want to see my president demonstrate? Because this can't go on and on. You can see that the governor of Benue State is already even losing his head. Yeah. The APC chairman in the state is already losing his head. And we are approaching an election year. Honestly, you can't do all this hard work and then fritter it because certain issues were not properly handled. So if we want ranching, then we must all agree that, look, this is what we need, and we must give enough space, enough land to make that happen. The president needs to call a stakeholder meeting. This is the way Obasanjo used to handle things like this. I remember when we had the Modakeke killings, somebody called Obasanjo, somebody accused the president of settling disputes across Africa, but when it comes to Nigeria, he does not do it. Yeah. The president then said, look, the meeting I had with the traditional rulers of Ife and Modakeke lasted from 6 p.m. to 7 a.m. 6 p.m. to 7 a.m. all because he was looking for a solution. Yes. And ultimately, the killing stopped. Everyone will agree that the killing has stopped.
Of course.
So this is what the president should call all stakeholders. Call them to Abuja and say, look, I want a solution to these needless killings. And I'm sure that we will find a solution.
I have my first caller. Abdul is calling us from Kebbi State. Thank you for joining us, Abdul.
Thank you. Journalist Hangout.
Yes, we are.
I called to thank you very much for your good job.
Thank you, Abdul.
Actually, what I want you people to understand, Babajide is getting it right. All the people that are complaining about this, our president, they should realize that it's very possible that these people are not planning herdsmen, as people are saying. So we should be on top of our president to do the needful. Let's get these people that are doing this thing. Then we can prove whether they are planning herdsmen or not. But we can't just conclude by saying they are planning herdsmen. Let's get them. If he's on top of them, whoever is doing this job, whoever is doing this work, Nigerians will see him. So let's not be focusing on saying they are planning herdsmen, they are people of the president, that's why he's not doing anything.
Thank you, Abdul.
Please let me just respond to this, because I feel very strongly about this. Now, if these criminals are arrested and properly profiled, and it's announced to us that these people are not Fulani, then we will know. But you and I know that traditionally this kind of business has been, a Fulani business enterprise over time. Now, if these people are doing this thing and they are killing people, and nobody arrests them and profile them.
The young man carrying rearing cattle, how did he
get a Kalashnikov?
A mercenary?
Yeah.
No, it's not. Those are not the people killing.
Because
they should pick them up and properly profile them and let us know who they are.
Maitasine came to Nigeria and killed me. I lived in the north. Yeah. I lived in Kano. I lived very close to where Abacha was born, Fege. Many people that you see are not Nigerians.
They are not.
They are not. Maitasine came to Nigeria, gathered people, and began to kill people. Maitasine came from Cameroon.
From Cameroon, yeah.
He came from Cameroon. And that's some of the people who are causing all this trouble. They are from Mauritania. They are from, some of them are from other countries. Yes, also. Mali. It's just, we are very receptive. When you go to Fege in Kano, you will not differentiate between who is a Nigerian and who is not. Yeah. Because we are a very receptive people. We are hospitable. We receive people very well.
Porous borders all around.
And the borders are extremely porous. A lot of the people killing for Boko Haram today,
they are not
Nigerians. Yeah. When they were arrested after the attack on Giwa Barracks, they could not speak a word of Nigerian language.
Yeah.
So I know what I'm talking about.
Hausa is different from ours.
I think we should then engage the Ministry of External Affairs to get into this. If we are saying that some of these are from Mauritania, then we need to talk to those governments of those countries that your people are coming here. I understand that. I understand that.
You are surrounded by failed countries.
The solution is not even to talk to the
failed countries.
It's not to talk to
you prosecute whoever.
Exactly. Prosecution is what we need.
That's what we are saying.
Their own government will not in any way come to defend them if they have been caught to be criminals there. Their own government will not come to defend them. That is it. And this is what the government must do. And you know what I'm afraid about now. There's this, he was my lecturer in those days. Professor was a hire. Who was Nigeria's ambassador to Canada. I mean, he issued a statement which I read online today, and I felt that if the president or whoever is close to the president could get to read the statement, they must act. Because if they don't act now, it's very dangerous. He called the president a genocide promoter. And he listed the reasons why he said this. He said in 2016, he wrote a letter to the president and warned him that there will be attacks in Benue, Plateau, Taraba, Southern Kaduna, and Southern Adamawa states. In all these places, have the attack not taken place? And to make the matter worse, the man is resident in the US, and he said even in that 2016, the presidency got his letter, sent him a reply that we've received your letter and we are going to act on it. 17 months after this has happened, the man is from Benue and is totally bitter that this has happened to his people. Okay, and these are things that the government needs to talk about.
John is calling us from Taraba State. Thank you for joining us, John.
Good evening.
Good evening, John.
Hello, how are you there?
Very well.
Fine.
Well, I'm happy for your program.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your program, and I'm so much enjoy it. But my problem is that now these things have been happening all around here, killings here and here and here, and the body is just sitting down there doing nothing, looking at people. But anything happening like that in other place, you see that they send quick. But now you see this is towards elections. To me, what I'm seeing is just they are trying to eliminate.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. It's absolutely, we have to get this on record and put it straight. It's not just good to say the president is sitting down doing nothing. It's not charitable. It's not, because as of today, I can tell you that the Inspector General of Police has even been ordered to relocate to Benue State and to go and get to the nitty-gritty of the no president will want to preside over that professor.
Over dead people.
I'm telling you. So it's not going to be good. But Babajide, the angle of the Inspector General of Police is saying this is just a communal clash. From what I read from the Inspector General of Police, I don't know, I've not listened to his soundbites, but I read that thing and I felt that that is not too good, or that is not a diligent intelligence coming from the IGP.
Well, even the statements issued by Mietiala and the other group, Gan, Fulani, something, have shown that the IG lied. Big people lying in Nigeria is not a new thing. We had fuel crisis recently. We knew that it was down to supply issues, and we routinely lied to our people without fearing God.
At the end of the day,
until Kachiku came on the final day during the Senate hearing, until Kachiku came and said there was supply gap. And we try to promote this, that look, this is what is happening. Let's address this. Marketers pulled out only in October because of marketers who are still involved in importing. They pulled out in October. It took just 1 month for NNPC to collapse. Just 1 month. They did it alone. And clearly they couldn't do it. Kachiku now said, let the marketers come back to doing their thing. That NNPC has, he said NNPC has logistic problem that they can't do it alone. Now, but we promoted the idea of lies, 5,500 trucks. You meet another governor, you see him. He's addressing you. You know he's lying. You are just looking at him that, oh, this guy, so you have no honor. You are in your heart, you are saying it that, oh, because you dare not say it to his presence, they will slap you. You understand? So you really don't have honor. Nigerian big men, when it comes to lying, they can compete in the colors of Nigeria. When it comes to lying, Nigerian big men, at Olympic level, they can compete in the colors of Nigeria and they will win. When it comes to lying, that's the way they are. So if someone says something, maybe a big man says something, take it with a pinch of salt. Don't even bother yourself that, why should he say this? You know, it's already part of them. He knows why he said so. He just wants to douse the situation. He cannot tell me he's a trained lawyer. He's a bright man. He knows that thing was not communal clash. But it was convenient for him to say, oh, it's a communal clash. In his view, he's trying to calm things down.
The tension.
But it remains what it is, that he lied to his countrymen and women.
And this show will record that. Taiwo is calling us from Oyo State as we leave this topic. Thank you for joining us, Taiwo.
Yeah, I'm Taiwo from Ibadan.
All right, go ahead with your contribution.
I agree with Babajide, because if Babajide can remember vividly, during additional government in Oyo State, there was a time the Herdsmen were attacked in Okioku.
When Buhari visited, ba?
Yes, he visited with Marwa, with all of them visited. So,
We
and
remember.
besides that again, if the security agency can arrest the Cameroonian people in Nigeria within a week or 2 weeks, then what is preventing them from arresting the foreign herdsmen or whatever attackers or terrorists they are? So why can't they help them out? So that is just my question. Good day.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's quickly take this break. When we come back, we're still on this particular topic, the Herdsmen menace. We'll come back after this time out. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Journalist Hangout, and we're reaching you live from Television Continental here in Lagos, Nigeria, and we're looking at the menace of this Fulani herdsmen, the militias that has been, that I can't even quantify the number of people that because we have problem with data in Nigeria that these people have actually killed. Let me take you to the governor of Borno State. That is Governor Sam Yotom.
No,
Benue.
I believe that my request that the leadership of Mayor Tiala, Captain Hore, who had earlier threatened, and I accused them directly since June. I've been writing to the security agencies that these people are a threat to our collective interests and they must be dealt with. They must be arrested and prosecuted, because we cannot allow impunity to continue to thrive. And of course, threat and no action have resulted to this killing. And I think that Mr. President will also do the needful to ensure that something is done urgently.
That's the governor of Benue State. That's Governor Sam Yotom. And when you look at the way he spoke, and he's like an helpless man.
He's almost gone completely bonkers. Because you can imagine, put yourself in his position. It's like he's presiding over a killing field.
Honestly.
So he has...
Instead of the food baskets.
He has lost it. If you know Tom very well, he has lost it. The people around him, they are no longer their real selves. This is a terrible time to be governor of Benue State.
It is.
It's a terrible time. And to know that people are trying to politicize the thing. Even Governor Suswam does not like does not like Otom.
Yeah.
Suswam, who almost got killed by herdsmen.
I'm telling you.
I was in Benue when it happened. He almost got killed by herdsmen.
The former Senate President too was attacked too.
So I don't know how our people reason sometimes. So honestly, so it's just, when they had the public hearing, it is clear that the Mayor Tiala did not want this thing. They made it clear. That's why the governor is insistent on having them prosecuted. Because if you issue threats, you refuse to be part of the hearing, you threaten fire and brimstone, and we are seeing that. Definitely, it's like the Yoruba will say, "Ajekele elano, omokuloni." Tani omokpa ajetoke elano lo pomoje. That the witch cried today, then the baby died today. Who does not know that it's the witch that killed the baby? So that is the thing. They've shown so much opposition to this idea.
But
I've told people, I said, there are herdsmen in other African countries. They respect the laws of those countries. So if we make laws in Nigeria, they must respect the laws that we make. All that I expect government to do is, look, let's create these grazing colonies as the 16 governors have agreed. In fact, in Sokoto State, they already have grazing reserve that the former governor invested so much in.
Omako.
Yes, it's there. Everything. And you can actually bring highly nutritious food for these cattle to eat. The only challenge in my view will be the land.
Because you were saying something when we went up.
You need, for 15 to 20 heads of cattle, you need 2 acres.
15 to 20 heads of cattle.
You need 2 acres.
You need 2 acres.
2 acres. Yes, they will need to move freely within the ranch.
Lots times 2.
You need to move. So
it's 12 lots.
Now that means so much land will go into this, but we can do it. We can do it. You travel to parts of Nigeria, you see vast land, almost as far as the eyes can see. If you are going to Niger from Kwara, you see on both sides of the road uninhabited land. So we can do it. If only this will stop the mindless bloodletting in our country, we should not hesitate to do it.
I have Sule. Why Sule is calling from Kano State. Thank you for joining us, Sule.
Yes, well done, Ayo.
Yes, Sule.
You see, we are living the real issue.
Okay.
History has told us long time ago that these people, they used to have where is called brutally. Brutally means where cattle normally go to feed themselves. In every area, especially in the northern part of the country, there used to be this area. The area is normally demarcated for only cattle to go and feed themselves. But gradually, states and local governments have taken over this brutally, this area I'm referring to. So they have been left with no other places than to be encroaching on farmland of people. Before, you don't hear about this crisis, simply because they have their area where they are restricted to. But now those areas have been taken over, either allocated to people as land or have been taken over as farmland. So the basic issue is, why can't we look back at that idea?
Okay.
Reserve certain area for these people so that they can have area where they can take their cattle to. And at the same time, you have other places. So I think apart from other issues that we are looking at, let us as well look at this, because this is what ensured peaceful peaceful stay with other people even long time ago, before the current crisis we are in now.
Thank you, Sule. Thank you, Sule. Yinka, why must the states even, create grazing land, reserve? These are cattle owned by individuals.
That is the question. Because they are owned by individuals, they are private investment. Now, will government buy boats for fishermen? Are you going to buy guns for hunters? Or how are you going to make sure those people get their business done? Look, the business of keeping cattle is business, and it is private investment. The man that wants to keep cattle must be ready to spend his money. And this is what I think they are running away from. You want to keep cattle, you want to sell it to me as meat, but you don't want to invest in it before I can buy it. It's never done anywhere. People must be ready to do business as business is done. If you want to keep cattle, you must be ready to feed them until they are mature for sale, for people to eat. If government now provide the so-called colonies, who is going to pay for the land? Is it the government that is going to be buying food to feed the cattle just to appease them? clearly what I'm seeing that the government is trying to do now is a politics of appeasement.
Yeah.
Let us just appease
so
them.
that the bloodletting can stop.
We can't continue this way. It's unsustainable.
As a matter of fact, when you look at this development, the way this the herdsmen are going about whatever, the Miyetti Allah is a registered association in Nigeria, and we cannot call this a faceless group.
No, they are.
In the north, they have their representative. Even the southwest, I know the chairman and everything. So, how are we going to pass? How did Yotom pass a law without carrying along the stakeholders? That is the Miyetti Allah people. I think it's...
They opposed it, not that they didn't carry them.
Ayo, the law was passed in May last year. And then there was like about 5 months of
conscientization
yes,
and education.
getting across with them,
this is when
having
it's going
meetings
to start.
and with the various stakeholders. While that was going on, they kept, for your information, I discovered that actually there are 2 factions of the Miyetti Allah. There's one I was talking about with a vernacular name that ends it.
Yes.
The regular one that we know is the one that is on the side of the law. That other one may be responsible for these killings. Okay? Now...
So, are you saying that one group of Miyetti Allah supports this?
Is silent, but one is very much openly against it.
And both of them
and the governor has actually identified that particular group.
Even saying that.
The president has,
former vice president is the grand patron of Miyetti Allah. And you know, people are passing the buck.
And the governor has identified.
Does that make him responsible for the killings?
Politicize it.
No, I'm saying that the governor has identified this particular faction by name. And then he says by November 1, this law will take effect. And then he even threatened that I might go to the International Criminal Court over this issue. Despite that, this is what we get. As recently as this month, people are still being killed over this issue.
Yesterday.
And I mean, I just didn't want to say yesterday, but
policemen yesterday.
Yes.
They slaughtered the policemen.
It just means to me that some people are just bent on disregarding the law and having their way.
Having their way.
And
that's what they want.
The president, who is the commander-in-chief, he represents the state. Indeed, he is the state.
He is the state.
As we are talking right now. He needs to exercise that, the prerogatives of the state.
Jude, don't also forget that these are not just regular people carrying AK-47. I was told that these people are well armed now, that they even shot at
they shot at Nigerian jets in Adama. They wanted to bring down our plane. Also, is the look at what happened. Mopo 13 policemen that were sent to Benue State to keep the peace. They were on surveillance mission. When these same killers, because they are still in that area,
very much.
When they attacked the police repelled it. But rather than the police calling for reinforcement so that they can go after them where they are hiding, they didn't do that. Those guys now came back, now slaughtered 2 policemen. They came back, they attacked you. You should have finished them off. Then they came back, now slaughtered 2 policemen and took away their rifles.
And you know what that means?
Yesterday.
It means
it's an affront.
Exactly.
It's an affront
in anywhere in the world, if you kill a law enforcement officer, what led, we are not justifying it. Zaki Biam. What led to Odi? We are not justifying all that, but that is what is done anywhere. You don't kill a law enforcement officer.
The full weight of the law.
Honestly. Exactly. That means you don't recognize the law at all.
Right. You know, and I think it's wrong.
And you can't defeat the state.
Honestly.
So why is it that the government or the inspector, does the inspector general of police
it's not the first time. If you read, even in Adama State, they've killed policemen anyhow.
Does the inspector general
of police killed rangers anyhow.
To go against people who kill this? Exactly. It's like
they are not called the fourth most dangerous terrorist group in the world for nothing. If the Nigerian state likes, let them not brand herdsmen, these herdsmen as terrorists. The world already brands them as terrorists and rates them as number 4 in the world.
I have Valentine from Kaduna.
Hello?
Thank you for joining us, Val.
Hello?
Yes, Val. Go ahead with your contribution.
I'm calling from Kaduna.
All right. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, I want to contribute the issue of the Fulani Herdsmen.
Go ahead.
And the issue is that Mr. President is not aware of all those things that are happening.
Good question.
Is that a question?
Because every year, last year, the same thing, today, this year, the same thing. He's not aware of everything that is going on.
He's aware.
He's aware.
Okay, let us be sincere with ourselves because we know all these things that is going on concerning Fulani Herdsmen. During the Igbos, I use weapons and delete them and they stop it. The same thing they're supposed to use soldiers to delete all this Boko Haram.
Thank you, Val. Jide, if you remember when Mr. President came back to Nigeria after recuperating from his sickness, and I remember that less than 10 minutes speech, and he didn't mention anybody's name, but in that speech, I knew that it was coming after Nnamdi Kanu.
Yeah.
As in the way he said people that, and the way, the steps that he took after.
Decisive step.
Decisive step.
Yes.
We're not saying, but it has to do with the section, but anybody threatening the peace and tranquility of the country. And he saw it that this is where I come in.
Yeah.
That Nigeria, this is threatening our peace. Why haven't we gotten this kind of response? Because this is dangerous enough to divide this country.
That is why what we are telling him, that if he wants to retain the regard that Nigerians have for him, that's why I said from the beginning, because this is a president that people have invested their love in for many years. For many years. And there are people who can die for Buhari, who are Igbos, who are Yorubas, who are from different tribes in Nigeria. It's not only in Kano. When you see crowds in Kano, you think it's only in Kano that they love Buhari. They love Buhari in many places, and a lot of them are not even Northerners. So the president has to be decisive so that he can retain the support, the goodwill that people have for him. Because I can tell you that since this whole thing began, I'm not judging based on what Punch did, but I know that the president is being demarcated by some of the actions or inactions that Nigerians can see. So there is still time between now and the election. The president has a lot of work to do to show Nigerians that, look, I'm a decisive president, and when I want to be decisive, I do not care about whose hogs is God. Those herdsmen can't be killing people, and first and foremost, we will say they are not terrorists. So what is the definition of terrorism? Somebody who they are even cowards. You know what they do? These herdsmen, they like to attack isolated communities.
Yes,
not densely populated communities. Where, in most cases, they don't even have police. So, because they don't want to lose any of their own people, they go kill those people in those small little villages and they run away. Nobody has the right. As I said last week, the worst crime against the state is to take the life of another person. It's not armed robbery. It's to take the life of another person. Nobody has that right. And the president must underline that fact before
safety of life and property.
Before his popularity becomes eroded. Because some of us who supported him from the beginning, there is no way we can sit back and watch things go on like this. You have to tell him the truth. And I've seen cases when we told the president the truth and we saw action taken. So the president has to really be decisive, deal with this matter frontally, and let these guys know when cattle rustlers were killing people in Zamfara, we went there to set up an army base.
Okay.
So we should be decisive on this matter too.
Okay, let me take my final call. I have Martins. He's calling us all the way from Italy. Thank you for joining us, Martins.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening. Yes, go ahead with your contribution.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Please, my question is, we Nigeria are outside the country. We don't know what is happening in Nigeria because this kind of thing that is happening is a very big shame and disgrace to the entire country.
Go on. Go ahead, Martins.
Because there's no way this kind of thing happen in any country in the world. Like most of that we have almost 30 years. Because it's just like this thing is just a plan B between the president and the part of that.
Thank you, Martins. I think we're struggling, but we'll get your message. On the final note, Lekon, moving forward, what should be done? How can we stop this deadly violence?
We cannot say too much. We cannot emphasize the fact that the president has to be decisive, act swiftly. He is the head of state. By definition, the state is the supreme, final, absolute, coercive power within the political realm. He should exercise that power immediately, as he has done, as we have seen him done with the IPOB. He should just act fast.
Well, personally, I would like to end by quoting Senator Shehu Sani. He said, every drop of blood stains should be on the conscience of all men in position of power. Men who are in power, who should have control and action to stop this. So it should, every drop of blood must serve as a stain on their conscience.
Yes. Life is becoming so meaningless and cheap in Nigeria.
Yes. Life is so cheap around here, and it shouldn't go on like that. We are gradually returning to the state of nature. Thomas Hobbes' state of nature. That's what we are. You know, that caller said, there's nowhere else where this can happen. Me, I don't know anywhere else.
Honestly.
We are drifting and drifting and drifting into assured backwardness.
Assured backwardness.
Yes, that's the way I can describe this, because you can't be watching people being killed in this way. It has to stop. The president must take action. The president must take action. This is his call. He is the state. Just as Louis XVI said, let's start somewhere. I am the state. The president of this country is the state. Is the state.
The box stops right
yes.
on his table.
Yes. If people won't tell him the truth, the people around him won't tell him the truth, we will tell him the truth. He is the state. He must act. He must demonstrate the awesome powers that he has as president of Nigeria to put an end to this violent combustion.
I like that word, awesome power, because the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is extremely powerful. On that note, we drop an anchor on today's program. I would like to thank you, Lekon Shote, for being our guest today. Thank you. Thank you. And Olayinka Oyebile, thank you. Happy New Year to you. I'm just saying you and Lekon. Thank you. And Babajide Kolade Otitoju. And that's the show today. Join us tomorrow for another interesting episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on our other platforms as displayed on the screen. And you can watch us on YouTube. That's youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. Bye for now, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.